Hare Krishna, it's 7 o'clock. We will
Hare
start
Krishna.
by Srimad Bhagavatam sometime. Okay. So King Puranjana goes to the forest to hunt and his queen becomes angry. Coughing a little bit, so please bear with me. Narad Muni continued to speak to King Prachini Barishat. My dear king, any person who works according to the directions of the Vedic scriptures does not become involved in fruitive activities. Although lot of portions of the Vedic scriptures is karma kanda. Karma kanda means you desire fruitive activities, right? So, but there is a transcendental portion of the Vedas, right? That there is what is that karma kanda, there is jnana kanda, and there is upasana kanda. Upasana kanda is the worship. Upasana means to worship. So, karma kanda is basically the that portion of the Vedas. Most of the portion of the Vedas is karma kanda, and that is why Vyasadeva was not satisfied after compiling all the Vedas and the Puranas and everything, and he was not satisfied. So here, Narad Muni is telling King Prachini Barishad this allegorical story, and he's saying any person who works according to the directions of the Vedic scriptures does not become involved in fruitive activities. Well, it depends on which portion of the Vedas he's. So, just as a government may issue trade licenses in order for its citizens to act in a certain way, the Vedas contain injunctions that restrain and regulate all of our fruitive activities. Okay. So, in the yoga ladder, the first rung of the yoga ladder is Karma Kanda, and below that Karma Kanda is the unrestricted enjoyment in whichever way you like. So, the Vedas, as soon as you accept the Vedas, then there is karma kanda, then you have certain rules and regulations. All living entities have come into this material world to enjoy themselves. We want to enjoy ourselves. So we have come here independently. Of course, to enjoy is not bad, but to enjoy independently will give suffering. Consequently, the Vedas are given to regulate sense enjoyment. One who enjoys his senses under the Vedic regulative principles does not become entangled in the action and reactions of his activities. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, yagna arthat karmana. One should act only for the performance of yagna or to satisfy Lord Vishnu. Anyatra lokoyam karma bandhana. Otherwise, any action will produce a reaction by which the living entity will be bound. A human being is especially meant to attain liberation from the bondage of birth, death, old age, and disease. So, if we don't give the results of our work to Vishnu, then we are the enjoyer of those results, and that results will create karma for us. That's what it's saying here. Anyatra means otherwise, it will create karma bandhan. A human being is especially meant to attain liberation from the bondage of birth, death, and disease. So, what does it mean to give the results of our work to Vishnu? Means, yeah, to serve Vishnu and to help in the propagation of Krishna consciousness movement. That is one way. And in our home also, to use everything, whatever we eat, we should offer to Vishnu, and you know, doing everything for the pleasure of Vishnu. He is therefore directed by the Vedic regulative principles to work in such a way that he may fulfill his desires for sense gratification and at the same time gradually become freed from material bondage. So slowly and gradually, Vedas say, yeah, this is how you can fulfill your desires in the Varnashram, then slowly become renounced. The idea is to become free from material bondage. Or you fulfill your desires in this way, then you will not get bondage. So, action according to such principles is called knowledge. Indeed, the word Veda means knowledge. The word Jnanena nasalipyate indicate that by following the Vedic principles, one does not become involved in the action and reactions of his fruitive activities. Everyone is therefore advised to act in terms of the Vedic injunctions and not irresponsibility. When a person within a state acts according to the laws and licenses of the government, he does not become involved in criminal activities. Man made laws, however, are always defective because they are made by men who are prone to committing mistakes, being illusioned, cheating, and having imperfect senses. The Vedic instructions are different because they do not have these four defects. Vedic instructions are not subject to mistakes. The knowledge of the Vedas is knowledge received directly from God, and there is consequently no question of illusion, cheating, mistakes, or imperfect senses. Okay, so just like laws are given by government, the real laws are given by the Supreme Lord. Man has made his own laws about abortion and about meat eating and liquor and everything. So many different laws man has made. But those man made laws are imperfect because they are not made by perfect people. They are suffering from four defects. So, first is we have imperfect senses. Because of imperfect senses, we have tendency to commit mistake. So, imperfect senses means we don't know the truth, and we then also profess that we know the truth. That's cheating. If you don't know something, then you cheat. And also there is a tendency to cheat because we want to show ourselves as very great personalities. Or even in that book, Forbidden Archaeology by Michael Cremo, they have analyzed how scientists have doctored evidence to suit their own philosophy of theory of evolution. They have some theory, and they have kind of made some assumptions and even sometimes cheated to get their recognition and things like that. So that is there, and we are committing mistakes. That's why also we are in illusion. So the Vedic instructions are different because they do not have these four defects. Vedic instructions are not subject to mistakes. The knowledge of the Vedas is knowledge received directly from God. Dharmantu Sakshat Bhagavad Pranitam. And there is consequently no question of illusion, cheating, mistakes, or imperfect senses. All Vedic knowledge is perfect because it is received directly from God by the parampara disciplic succession. Like Prabhupada would often give two examples, right? He would say that, what is that? What is the, in the Bhagavad Gita, he says about some example how Vedic knowledge is perfect. Anybody like to share?
The cow dung, right?
Correct. Yeah, he says generally the stool of an animal is impure, and the Vedas say cow dung is pure. So it has been found actually that cow dung can be used to for many things. So even science has found. And then I think he says second thing is about the is it the water of the Ganga?
Hmm.
Which
Maybe.
at least cow dung is saying. Yeah. And then it's yeah, I think cow dung. So all Vedic knowledge is perfect because it is received directly from God by the parampara, disciplic succession. So those who are speaking what God is speaking, that is also perfect knowledge. And it comes down in the parampara. Evam parampara praptam imam rajarshayo viduhu sakalineha. Mahata
Mahata. Yogo Nashta
Tap
Parantapa.
Yoga Nashta Parantapa. Yeah. In Srimad Bhagavatam 111, it is said, Tene Brahma Hridaya Adi Kavaye. First, Brahma was meditating. He heard the word. What is the word he heard? When
Tapa.
Tapa. Tapa means austerity. And then he performed austerity. Sitting on that lotus, he performed austerity. And then the whole knowledge was revealed in the heart. So this is the Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Janmadi Yasya Yataha Anvayadi Taratasya Artheshu Abhignaswarat Tene Brahma Hridayadi Kavai Muyanti Yat Surya. So this is the first verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. This knowledge was revealed in the heart of Brahma. He, Krishna is in the heart and he will Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam. Krishna says, I will give you the knowledge. Prabhupada writes in that purport that even if somebody does not take advantage of devotees and the spiritual masters, but he is doing service to Krishna, then Krishna from within he will give the knowledge. Krishna will guide him. Here he says in 10.10, he says that if a devotee is not intelligent enough to make progress on the path of self-realization, but is sincere and devoted to the activities of devotional service, the Lord gives him a chance to progress and ultimately attain to him. So, a person may have a bona fide spiritual master and may be attached to spiritual organization, but still, if he is still not intelligent enough to make progress, then Krishna from within gives him instruction so that he may ultimately come to him without difficulty. So Krishna will guide on from within, he will give the intelligence and he will say, okay, do like this, do like that, this is not good, this is good, like that. In the heart, he will say. And so the qualification is that a person always engage himself in Krishna consciousness with love and devotion and render all kinds of services. Tesham satada yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam. Priti means with love and affection. Priti is affection. So we have to do our service, whether it is chanting the holy name or hearing about Krishna or with attachment to that service, doing it for pleasure of Krishna, taking pleasure in giving pleasure to Krishna. That's basically, we have to take pleasure. We have to do it with, like, if you love somebody and you want to serve that person, then you want to do it with nicely, affection. So, so we should think that, oh, this is for Krishna. The original creature of this universe, known as Adi Kavi. Yeah, I would like to say something. Okay. The original creature of this universe, known as the Adi Kavi or Lord Brahma, was instructed by Krishna through the heart. So Krishna is very eager to instruct the living entity. But sometimes his voice gets drowned because our desires are so strong, and Krishna is giving what we call as intuition or something like that. Is the voice of the Paramatma. Paramatma is giving us guidance because he's in our heart. Sometimes we say our inner voice, right? That inner voice is actually the voice of Paramatma. Of course, not always we should think about the inner voice, because that inner voice can also be the voice of our mind and things like that. And so we have to also verify it with Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. After receiving these Vedic instructions from Lord Krishna himself, Brahma distributed the knowledge by the Parampara system to Narada, and Narada in turn distributed the knowledge to Vyas. In this way, the Vedic knowledge is perfect because it is coming from Krishna. Krishna does not suffer from the four defects. If we act according to Vedic knowledge, there is no question of being involved in sinful activities. So you will not do sinful activities. That is one thing. But if you don't, if in karma kanda, because the desire is for enjoyment and pleasing different demigods, for still you are in that way bound in this cycle of birth and death. So if you enjoy piously, still it is bondage because you don't suffer, but because it doesn't give you devotion to Krishna, that's why it is not perfect. Even the pious activities done according to scriptural injunctions, it is good at one level that we are not acting against and it is not sinful, but it is not complete because in Karma Kanda, Prachini Barishad was involved in Karma Kanda activities. So Narad Muni wanted to bring him to a higher consciousness. Okay, so next verse. Anybody has any comments on that? Okay. अन्यथा कर्म कुर्वाणो मनारूढ़ो निबध्यते गुण प्रवाह पतितो नष्ट प्रज्ञो व्रजत्यधा. Otherwise, a person who acts whimsically falls down due to false prestige. यह शास्त्र विधि मुत्सृज्य वर्तते कामकारतः न स सिद्धिम अवाप्नोति न सुखम न पराम गतिम. Krishna is saying. Otherwise, a person who acts whimsically falls down due to false prestige. Or in the 15th chapter, also Krishna is saying, in his 15th chapter, Krishna is saying that one who does not recognize my transcendental nature falls down. So we have all fallen down from the spiritual sky into this material world because we did not accept Krishna. Where does it say that they fall down? Those who do not recognize my transcendental nature. And there is a verse like that.
It's 9:20.
9:20.
Aham hi sarva yajnanam bhokta. Yeah, so I am the only enjoyer and master of all sacrifices. Therefore, those who do not recognize my true transcendental nature fall down.
9:24.
Mm.
Yeah, that's the one. Sorry, it's not in. Yeah. Bhokta cha Prabhu revacha. I am the master and I am the enjoyer. Prabhu and Bhokta. Aham is sarva yajnanam. We may say why it is like that. It's like that because that's how it is. Na tu mam abhijananti tatve natas chavanti te. Chavanti means to. Tatve natas. Na, not realizing this. Tatvena. Okay, sorry. Tatvena ata chavanti te. So tattva means truth. In those who don't recognize this truth about the chavanti fall down. I am the only enjoyer and master of all sacrifices, therefore do not recognize my true transcendental nature fall down. So we are all fallen into this material world and, because we did not recognize Krishna. So we are punished here. Those who don't recognize government are punished, right? So and also rectified. So it may sound like, yeah, there is no like independence. Yes, we don't really have independence because we are subordinate to Supreme Lord. Ekala Ishwar Krishna, our Sabhritya. So that is how it is. How much ever we may like to be independent, but real independence is when we surrender to Krishna. Like Narad Muni Prabhupada would say, he can go anywhere and he can travel anywhere because he's surrendered. He's surrendered to the Supreme Lord. So more we surrender to Krishna, more we accept his supremacy and as our friend. And he's not like a hard, very torturing kind of very cruel master. He is very, very kind. So it's Krishna's mercy or Krishna's heart is more softer than Krishna's heart is more softer than
Softer than rose.
rose, and
Say about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, harder than thunderbolt.
Krishna's heart is more softer than millions of
Millions of mothers combined.
combined. Mother's heart is very soft for the child. You might have experienced that with your own mother. So, how soft is Krishna? And even softer is Radharani's heart. So, Radharani being the universal mother, right? Let's say Prabhupada says she is the what is that? The feminine counterpart of the supreme whole, representing the worldly feminine nature, uh, what is it, representing the worldly feminine nature. So yeah, so that's why we appeal to her. This tender-hearted feminine counterpart of the supreme whole. So Krishna's tender-hearted. Krishna is kind, and his that whole compassionate has aspect of Krishna has made the form of Radharani. So she is very, very kind, like mother is. Okay. So one time Prabhupada says, if I don't forgive you, then this Krishna will forgive you. And if Krishna doesn't forgive you, then Radharani will forgive you later. Something like that is said. The question came up, who is more forgiving, Nityanand Prabhu or Radharani? Of course, both are. So, anyway, they are both like aspects of Krishna. One is Shakti Tattva and one is the Guru Tattva. Otherwise, a person who acts whimsically falls down due to false prestige. Thus, he becomes involved in the laws of nature, which are composed of the three qualities goodness, passion, and ignorance. In this way, a living entity becomes devoid of his real intelligence and becomes perpetually lost in the cycle of birth and death. Thus, he goes up and down from a microbe in stool to a high position in the Brahmalok planet. So, one time we were in the stool. In our body, also, there are so many bacteria and things like that, right? So, in the stool, also, there are so many bacteria. There may be good bacteria, there may be bad bacteria. There is good bacteria in the stomach, there is bad bacteria. Bad bacteria means you have to take antibiotics to remove the bad bacteria. But there is good bacteria. So they are also living entities. So in our body also there are so many living entities. And every cell is living like that. But the predominant living entity is myself, the soul, who is living. Like in our house, there may be lizards, there may be cockroaches, there may be little ants. They are also living in the same house. So our body is like a house, and we are living, and so many other living beings are. But I am the main proprietor of this house. So the house belongs to me. But there are other living entities. And when you pass stool, also sometimes they examine the stool for, they do stool analysis to find out what is the cause of your disease and things like that. And so there are some bacteria, and so we have been that bacteria in the stool also. So that's he goes up and down from a microbe in stool to a high position in Brahmalok planet. And who says I am lower than the worm in the stool?
Krishnadas Kaviraj.
Kita? What is that?
Eta hoy Janma. I was seeing that. कीटा जन्म होय जठा तुवा दास बहिर्मुखा ब्रह्मा जन्मे नहीं आश.
That is Bhaktivinoda Thakur's song. But in Chaitanya Charitamrita, it says, anybody who takes my name, I'm lower than the worm in the stool, and anybody who takes my name loses all his piety And anybody who hears about me, what is that verse?
जगार मदाय होते मुहि से पापिष्ठा पुरुषेरा कीट होते मुहि से लागिष्ठा. I'm more sinful than Jagai and Madai, even lower than the worms in the stone.
So, stool, to live in the stool is not a very good thing. And Krishnadas Kaviraj is so humble. He is thinking himself very, very fallen. He is very elevated, but he is saying like that. He is very fallen. So, okay. So, it says, author of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami was Kasturi Manjari in the spiritual world. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is a Manjari in the spiritual world. Kasturi Manjari in humility has written, Puri Shera Kita Hoite Muhi Se Lagishta, Jagai Madai Hoi Muhi Se Papishta. He is lower than the worm in the stool, okay. And that he is more sinful than Jagai and Madai, who had performed all sinful activities in Lord Chaitanya's pastimes. Once, when a Vaishnava said that my Guru Pada Padma is a Kanishta Adhikari, which made me angry. But my Shila Gurudev responded by saying, oh, I am lower than a Kanishta Adhikari. I am not qualified to be called a Kanishta Adhikari. However, this Vaishnava has had mercy and given me right to be situated on this level. This is a matter of joy for me. So he is calling me Kanishta Adhikari. Oh, that is, he is giving me a prestigious. Kanishta means like neophyte. Neophyte means new devotee, like not very. It is a matter of joy for me. Rather than becoming angry, you should be blissful regarding this matter. So due to lack of Vaishnava qualities amongst the Vaishnavas in the present Vaishnava society, we see deceit, pride, and quarrel present instead of love. Those who have taken up the path of devotion to become Vaishnavas have a duty to look deep within their hearts on how to develop those Vaishnava qualities. Otherwise, the supposed practice of devotion in search of the ultimate spiritual goal will be mere joke. The actual meaning of devotion is to serve the Supreme Lord and His devotees with love, from the core of one's heart. There is no room for deceit, pride, or quarreling, for establishing one's own territory. The servant who is filled with desires and who is an offender of Vaishnavas prays to Srila Guru Pada Padma Nitya Leela. Bhakti Pramod, to please bestow upon the right to follow the four Vaishnava qualities as described above by serving your divine lotus feet. Okay, so it's difficult, but yeah, we're going to try. Otherwise, a person, okay, so in this way, a living entity, so those who act whimsically, they fall down and then he becomes involved in the three modes of material nature, and then because of that, he loses his intelligence and he becomes lost in the cycle of birth and death, perpetually lost in the cycle of birth and death. Thus, he goes up and down from microbe in stool to a high position in Brahmalok planet. Like in that Brahma Samhita, that verse is there. Yastvendriyam Tavendram Aho Swakarma. Right from that Indra Gop. Yastva Indra Gopam Mathavendram Aho Swakarma. Bandhanurupa Falabhajanamatanoti. Karamani Nirdhati Kintu Cha Bhakti Bhajam. Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Right from the smallest insect, Indragop, to Indra, everybody is bound by the results of their karma. Bandhanu Rupam Falabhajanam Atanoti. And this karma is destroyed by bhakti. Karmani Nirdahati Kintu Cha Bhakti Bhajam. Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Nirdahati means destroyed. Karma is destroyed. Everybody is bound, but kintu means but. In Hindi also we say kintu ye nahi hai ye wo. So kintu, but Everybody is bound right from the. But if you want to get rid of karma, then that is the only way to surrender to Krishna. So everybody is bound in the cycle of birth and death. Thus he goes up and down from a microbe in a stool to a high position in Brahmalok planet. Sometimes you're down, sometimes you're up. So we have been in all the species of life. We may have been demigods also. Actually, first birth is Brahma, and then we came down, came down. We've been trees, we have been so many things. So there is no species of life we have not been in. That why sometimes people say 84 लाख योनि में फिर के हमको ये मनुष्य अवतार मिला है. After wandering through 84 lakh species of life. So this is also very small time, right?
हे ब्रह्मांड पूर्ण भाग्य Guru Krishna Prasade by Bhakti Lata Beans. More rare than to get a human form is to get the association of a devotee. That's when the direction of life changes. Durlabha manashu dev dehinam shunabhanguru. Tatrapi durlabha mane vaikuntha pretash.
So this is a very great opportunity we have got to render devotional service. And opportunity is only going to last for some time. It's not going to last forever. So we should immediately become pure devotee. Yeah, easy to say, but at least we should desire to. That's the goal of life, to become completely pure in heart and devoted to Krishna, to serve Krishna, giving up all other engagements. Krishna demands this: Sarva dharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam vraja. Aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshishyami ma suchaha. Give up all other engagements, all other so-called duties, and just engage in one duty, that is to serve me. And that's it. Like yesterday we met one lady who was pregnant, and we asked her, can you please come for satsang? Oh, my weekends are so busy, and so this thing, I cannot just come. So many other duties, right? So you can't come to satsang. Of course, we don't criticize anybody, but we are also like that. But that is the thing, there is no. And then another person, I think you were saying, Radhika was saying that, no, it's not a question of time, but it's a question of, what did you say? Question of
I don't remember.
Question of priority.
Oh,
So there's a
yeah.
question of priority. So yeah, everybody has time and everybody has things, but where is your priority? What are you thinking is most important? That person was talking is from India, and then that other girl was there, right?
Yeah. Right.
Was standing near the door, and then she came.
Yeah, everybody was saying it's too much going on in my life right now. I will not be able to read the book.
Yeah, everybody was saying that. So that's the problem, because we have, and it can be because sometimes, your job, and you have to maintain a family, and so much hard work you have to do just to make your ends meet. Sometimes Prabhupada was saying that, like in India, people think in America they are very, very, very like nice life, and they're not working so hard. But here, also everybody is working very hard, and also everything you have to do yourself. In India, you can get maid servant, right, to do your dishes and things like that. You can get somebody to clean your house. Here, you have to. Of course, you can get people from outside, but not daily. You can get. In India, the maid will come daily and they will clean the utensils and things, wash the clothes also. Here, of course, we have laundry machine, but that way, and you have to work also. Everything, all the bills you have to pay, and so. So here also, people can be so busy, and by our own material desires also, we are so busy, and the social life and things like that. So we have to take a break every day for 2 hours. and chant Hare Krishna. We have to chant Hare Krishna, taking a break, giving up all the upadis, sarva upadi vinirmuktam tatparat. I am spirit soul. So the more upadis we like gather in this world, the more we will say, I have this duty, I have that duty. But the real designation is I am servant of Krishna. So more upadis we have, more designations we have, the more will be our entanglement in this. We are trying to become free from all upadis. Sarva upadi vinirmuktam. So that is how. So there are many important words in this verse. Of course, if we are family, then we should think, yes, I am servant of Krishna and they are also servant of, everybody is servant of Krishna. And we should all together engage in service to Krishna. I think that's the thing. There are many important words in this verse. That's why Prabhupada says 4 things in family life. You chant Hare Krishna, you read the scriptures morning and evening, you chant Hare Krishna, do Japa with your family, and read books like Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, and then worship the deity and honor prasadam. The first is anyatha, otherwise, which indicates one who does not care for the Vedic rule. So some people have very nice life. By Krishna's mercy, Krishna is given all the time in the world, and they don't have to struggle because their financial situation is nice. That's another thing that Krishna says, those who are unsuccessful on the path of yoga, then next life they get birth in rich aristocratic families. So they don't have to work very hard to make money and all these things. Of course, making money is not bad if you give it to Krishna or use it in Krishna's service. But then you have to deal with so many things and you cannot directly do preaching and so many activities. So, because your time is consumed by, they are paying you, so they take your time. So, the first is anyatha. So, Prabhupada says 8 hours, you should work 8 hours, and then not too much prayas, not too much endeavor. 8 hours is good. In one purport, he says something like that. Yeah, everybody has to work, so you work 8 hours, and then the remaining time use for Krishna. And our work also, it's not like we segregate also. Work is not Krishna conscious. The work should also be connected to Krishna. So for a devotee, actually everything is dovetailed with the service of Krishna. So nothing is material in that way also. Okay, the first is anyatha, otherwise, which indicates one who does not care for the Vedic rules and regulations. The rules and regulations laid down. Anyatha means otherwise. If you don't care, the rules and regulations laid down in the Vedas are called Shastra Vidhi. Bhagavad Gita clearly states that one who does not accept the Shastra Vidhi or rules and regulations mentioned in the Vedic scriptures and acts whimsically or puffed up with false pride never attains perfection in this life, nor does he attain happiness or liberation from material condition. Yaha Shastra Vidhim Utsritya Vartate Kamakarata Nasa Siddhim Vapnoti Na Sukham Na Param Gatim. He who discards scriptural injunctions and acts according to his own whims attains neither. It's like driving car according to your own whims. You go and don't follow any laws, traffic laws. You just don't care for the light or anything, nothing. What will happen? You will crash. Very soon you will crash. You are going to crash. In 5 minutes you will crash. So if you don't follow the signs and everything. So it's the same way. We'll crash. If we don't accept anything, at least first we accept. We may not be able to follow everything, but at least first we accept. Then, yeah, this is correct, what Shastra is saying. He who discards scriptural injunctions and acts according to his own whims attains neither perfection nor happiness nor the supreme destination. So there are 2 ways in spiritual life to have obstacles. One is to not accept. Niyama agraha. Agraha means to not accept, and niyam agraha means to accept, but just accept without understanding the purpose behind it. So, if I have to chant my rounds, I just chant somehow or other without, I have to just finish my rounds. So, then it becomes like niyama agraha. Thus, one who is deliberately transgressing the rules and regulations of the Shastras is simply involving himself more and more in material existence, in the three modes of material nature. So we become more and more entangled. Human society should therefore follow the Vedic principles of life which are summarized in Bhagavad Gita. Otherwise, life in material existence will continue. So, those who become elevated, they don't follow. I mean, spiritually elevated people, they don't follow all the rules and regulations. Of course, not regarding sense enjoyment, but maybe regarding worship of Krishna, like Vamshidas Babaji, right? He was not following like exactly like the deity standards, and but they are avadhuts. They are avadhuts, and also, yeah, we try our best, and even if there's discrepancy, Krishna does not. Krishna is not like looking at all the rules, whether you followed this rule and that rule, and he's a Lord of love. But that doesn't mean we don't try to do in the right way. But we cannot do everything in properly because we are imperfect. So Krishna then accepts our bhav also. Foolish persons do not know that the soul is passing through 8,400,000 species of life. So those who are ignorant, how many people, if you go and ask, oh, you are passing through 8 million four, you are in this human life. This is one of the 8,004,000 species of life you are passing through. So they don't know the bigger picture. By the gradual process of evolution, when one comes to human form of life, he is supposed to follow the rules and regulations laid down in the Vedas. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that the living entity, since time immemorial, is suffering the threefold miseries of material nature due to his demoniac attitude, which is his spirit of revolt against the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna also confirms this in Bhagavad Gita. Mamevamsho jivaloke jivabhuta sanatana manashishtani indriyani prakriti sthani karshati. The living entities in this conditioned world are my eternal fragmental parts. Due to conditioned life, they are struggling very hard with six senses, which include. Why struggle? Why there is so much struggle? Because of turning away from God. As in prison, life is difficult because of violating by declaring falsely independence. So you're made to break stones. So everybody is working very hard. Like Thela, right? Thela wala. Prabhupada says in Calcutta, not now, before, I think they were having humans would be like pulling the cart like a horse, like horse will, or so they'll be running with the Thela and the person sitting behind, they're getting a ride and they're running. So all this struggle, hard work is because, turning away from God. Sometimes we get a nice situation, but karma is very tricky. You cannot depend on karma. Today is good situation, tomorrow it may be suddenly become bad. So one should be very afraid of one's karma. And being afraid, we should surrender to Krishna. Every living entity is part and parcel of God. There is no reason for the living entities being put into the miserable threefold condition of material existence, but that he voluntarily accepts material existence on the false pretext of becoming an enjoyer. To save him from this horrible condition, the Lord has given all Vedic literatures in his incarnation of Vyasadeva. It is therefore said, Krishna bhuli se jiva anadi bahir mukha. Krishna bhuli, forgetting Krishna, the jiva, from time immemorial, he has turned his face away, bahir mukha. Ateva maya tare deya sansar dukha. And Maya is giving. By forgetting Krishna, sansar dukha means birth, death, old age, disease. Birth, death, old age. That is sansar. Sansar is the wheel of birth, death, old age, and disease. So when we are going from one body to another, and like that, every time we are suffering by forgetting Krishna. So unless you realize you are suffering, you cannot really come to Krishna consciousness. That's what Prabhupada says, that unless one is pessimistic of the material existence, then there is no impetus to take up spiritual life, at least in the beginning. So I am suffering, to admit that I am suffering in this cycle of birth and death and adhyatmic, adi bhautik, adi devik misery, I am suffering, then we will take to shelter of God. If we are pious, Chaturvida Bhajante Mam, Janas Sukriti no Arjuna. Artho Jigyasu Artharthi Jnanishya. Sukriti na, those who have Sukriti, they will take shelter of the Lord. But, somehow or other, one the because God consciousness there is there in our heart, so every living entity, so they will take eventually. By forgetting Krishna, the living entity has become materialistic since time immemorial. Therefore, the illusory energy of Krishna is giving him different types of miseries in this material existence. Maya Mugdha Jiver Nahi Swata Krishna Gyan. Maya Mugdha. Mugdha means bewildered by illusion. Jiver Nahi Swata Krishna Gyan. He has no knowledge about Krishna. Jivera Kripaya Koile Krishna Veda Puran. So Krishna has mercifully given us this Vedas. When a living entity is enchanted by the external energy, he cannot revive his original Krishna consciousness independently. Due to such circumstances, Krishna has kindly given him the Vedic literature such as the four Vedas and 18 Puranas. Every human being should therefore take advantage of the Vedic instructions, and otherwise one will be bound by his whimsical activities and will be without any guide. And the devotees also, like Srila Prabhupada came and then he wrote all these books, and then the word Manarudha is also very significant in this verse. Under the pretext of becoming great philosophers and scientists, men throughout the whole world are working on the mental platform. Such men are generally non-devotees due to not caring for the instructions given by the Lord to the first living creature, Lord Brahma. The Bhagavatam 5:18-12 therefore says, Harava bhaktasya kuto mahadguna manorathena sati dhavato bahi. A person who is a non-devotee has no good qualification because he acts on the mental platform. One who acts on the mental platform has to change his standard of knowledge periodically. Mind is always, the chariot is going this way, that way. Sometimes wind is blowing in this way, the kite is going in that way. Sometimes wind is blowing that way, the kite is going that way. So not steady. So not steady means you don't know, it's unpredictable. Today's we are good, tomorrow we may become bad because it is all dependent on, like Kans was escorting his sister Devki, and he was very loving, and suddenly as he heard the Akashvani, it all turned around. And so like that. So as long as our interest is involved, we are friends with somebody and there is good things going on. And then suddenly when the interest is hampered or there is no interest and we don't care or we become enemies like that. So it is all today's friend may be tomorrow's enemy and vice versa. And then it can change also. So you never know in this material world. You cannot trust. Because everybody is selfish in this material world. Everybody wants to see their own thing. So one who acts on the mental platform has to change his standard of knowledge periodically. We consequently see, like two nations are friends and suddenly something happens and they become enemies. So we consequently see that one philosopher may disagree with another philosopher and one scientist may put forward a theory contradicting the theory of another scientist. So, Tarko Pratishta Shutayor Vipinna, Nashav Rishiryasya Matam na Bhinnam. Unless one philosopher differs from another philosopher, then he cannot be called really a philosopher, Muni. All of this is due to their working on the mental platform without a standard of knowledge. In the Vedic instructions, however, the standard of knowledge is accepted, even though it may sometimes appear that the statements are contradictory. Because Vedas are standards of knowledge, even though they may appear contradictory. Like Vedas say, the stool of an animal is impure. If you touch the stool of an animal, then you have to take bath. But then they say, no, the stool of cow is pure. So like that, they may appear, Prabhupada says like that. They should be accepted. If one does not accept them, he will be bound by the material condition. Like that verse in the Bhagavad Gita. He walks and he does not walk. Like he has, what is that word? Sarva. I don't know the words, but he's
Ishtapancha?
Ishopanishad also, yeah, that verse is there. And what was the verse in Bhagavad Gita that Advaita Acharya was not able to explain in this
He
Bhakti?
has millions of eyes and ears everywhere. Um,
Okay.
that is, yeah, he says everywhere are his hands and legs, his eyes, heads, and faces. And he has ears everywhere. In this way, the super soul exists, pervading everything.
Oh, okay, so that may not be so. Yeah, he's everywhere, like he has millions of eyes, and then we say, oh, he has a personal form also. But yeah, and then this verse from Upanishad, he walks and he does not walk, he like, it's contradictory. So, how is that resolved? He walks and he does not walk, means what is the meaning?
Yeah,
Either
so
he
he
walks.
has personal and impersonal both. Walks means he has legs, so that's personal form. Does not walk, impersonal energy.
Yes. So, if you don't understand like Achintya Beda Bed and all these things, then it is like confusing. So Mahaprabhu has explained us. The material conditions are described in this verse as Guna Prava. We'll finish this purport. So, the flowing of the three modes of material nature. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur therefore says in a song, Miche Mayar Vashe Yacho Veshe Hacha Habu Dubu Bhai. That we are in the Vashe. Miche Mayar Vashe. We are floating in this ocean of Maya. And when you're floating in an ocean, you go up with the wave, then you go down, then you go up. Why are you suffering? Why are you sometimes being drowned in the waves of material nature and sometimes coming to the surface? That is Brahmanda Brahmite. Jiva Krishna Das hai Vishwas kar le to aar dukha nahi. Please therefore accept yourself as servant of Krishna. Just believe this, that you are not this body, your soul, and you are servant of Krishna. That's all. That's all we have to accept very deeply. I am not this body and I am servant of Krishna, I am soul. Then you will be freed from all miseries. Then there is no misery. Then you will be very happy. I am servant of Krishna. As soon as one surrenders to Krishna, and then I am not this body, I am not going to get anything. Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma na sochati na kangshati. Yeah. Of course, saying is easy, but to come to actually that level, I have nothing to gain, nothing to lose. Then they are joyful, and you are serving Krishna, so more joy. Because in that state, Krishna says, one begins his bhakti, mad bhakti labate param. So first come to the platform of realizing that you are not the body. You have there is no hankering, there is no lamentation. Once there is no material desire to fulfill because you're not the body. There is nothing to gain, nothing to lose. And then once you come to that platform of joyfulness, just coming to the platform of spirit soul is joyfulness. But then to get more joy, then you serve Krishna. So, or by serving Krishna, you come to the platform of being realizing that you are not this body. Sarva upadi vinirmuktam tatparatvine. The effect of devotional service is that one is freed from all designations. It is not like first you become free and then you engage in devotional service. That can also be, I mean, those who are Brahman realized, they are out of bodily conception. We say Shukdev Goswami, he was Brahman realized. He was completely out of bodily conception of life. And then he became Krishna conscious. So that way also it can happen. But for us both simultaneously it can happen, right? We do service also and we get realization also. And the more we realize that I am not this body, I have nothing to do in this material world except serve Krishna, then you become joyful. Therefore, please accept therefore yourself as servant of Krishna. Then you will be freed from all miseries. Means death will come, old age will come, disease will come, but after this, you will not come back again in the cycle of birth. As soon as one surrenders to Krishna, and even at the hour of death, in the second chapter, one can surrender to Krishna. Even at the hour of death, Krishna says, But that doesn't mean we wait till the hour of death to last verse of second chapter. Ish.
And Krishna can also destroy our pap karma, so even while living, we might not suffer those miseries that because of our past karma. Tvam sarva papebhyo sakradeva prapannas.
Yes. So this verse, Esha Brahmi Sthiti Partha Nainam Prapya Vimuyati Sthitavasya Manta Kalepi Brahma Nirvanam Richati. You can surrender right before your death. And who surrendered like that?
Let one more at Khatvanga Maharaj.
Khatwanga Maharaj. So that is the way of spiritual and godly life, after attaining which a man is not bewildered. If one is thus situated, even at the hour of death, one can enter into the kingdom of God. And Prabhupada gives the man. Khatwanga Maharaj attained the state of life just a few minutes before his death by surrendering unto Krishna. So, and that doesn't mean, well, I'll say I will surrender at the end, like Ajamil chanted Narayan. So, not like that, but yeah, we're trying, and the complete surrender can come even before death, like that. So, please therefore accept yourself as servant of Krishna, then you'll be freed from all misery. As soon as one surrenders to Krishna and accepts the perfect standard of knowledge, which is Bhagavad Gita as it is, he comes out of the material modes of nature and does not fall down and lose his knowledge. Okay, this only one. Nashta pragnaha. Pragna means perfect knowledge. Pragna is also intelligence. And Nashta pragna means one who has no perfect knowledge. One who does not have perfect knowledge is only mental speculation. By such mental speculation, one falls down and down into hellish condition of life. By transgressing the laws laid down in the Shastras, one cannot become pure in heart. When one's heart is not purified, one acts according to the three material modes of nature. These activities are very nicely explained in verse 1 through 6 of the 17th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita 2:45 further explains Traigurniya Vishaya Veda Nistraigurnyo Bhavarjuna Nidvando Nitya Sattvasto Niryoga Kshema Atmavan. The Vedas mainly deal with the subject of the three modes of material nature. Rise above these modes, O Arjuna. Be transcendental to all of them. Be free from all dualities and from all anxieties for gain and safety, and be established in the self. The entire world and all material knowledge is within the three modes of material nature. One has to transcend these modes, and to attain that platform of transcendence, one must follow the instructions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and thus become perfect in life. Otherwise, one will be knocked down by the waves of material nature's three modes. This is further explained in Srimad Bhagavatam. If you don't surrender to Krishna, you will be knocked down by Maya in the three modes. This is further explained in Srimad Bhagavatam 7.5.13, the words of Prahlad Maharaj. Matirna Krishne parato svatova mito pipadyeta griha vratanam adanta govir vishatam tamishram puna punascharvita charvananam. Materialistic persons who are too much engaged in material enjoyment and who do not know anything beyond their material experiences are carried by the whims of material nature. They have a life characterized by chewing the chewed, and they are controlled by their uncontrolled senses. Thus they go down to the darkest region of hellish life. So we have to become very determined to take shelter of Krishna, and taking shelter, chanting the holy name of Krishna. So, yeah, we have to make up our mind. And once the mind is made up, then that's it. That I will serve Krishna. In this short span of life, we have to make up our mind. That's the basically. You decide like this is what I have to do. That's it. Like you're in medical school, right? let's say you're going to become doctor, and you're firmly decided, no matter how difficult it is. I mean, the people who do like that, right? They work 20 hours straight, 36 hours straight. In material life, there are so many people who are very determined. That's how they've risen to the point of success, material success. They're very determined. So same thing we have to use for spirit. That thing will not give any happiness. I mean, it will give some temporary happiness, but it will not. So you have to be very determined. Prabhupada writes that even to get a nice position in the material world, you have to work very hard. Like all of you who are engineers and things like that. So he says advancement in Krishna consciousness. So why there should be no hard work for? You have to be very determined. So if going back home, if that is the goal we have decided, then I want to go back home, back to God. Then whatever it comes in the path, like what they say about the Ganges, as who is saying, Tvai me ananya vishaya matir madhupate.
Natir madhupate Satim Advatadadha Gange Vagamudanvati. Yeah. So like how the Ganges forever flows towards the sea, let my mind always think of you. I also mentioned this verse in the chat, which we memorized from Vritrasur Simula. Mama uttam shloka janeshu sakyam brahmat संसार चक्रे भ्रमता सुकर्मभि तन्मायात्मजादारा गेहेश्व आसक्त चित्त सनाना तबुयात. O my Lord, my Master, I am wandering throughout this material world as a result of my fruitive activities. Therefore, I simply seek friendship in the association of your pious and enlightened devotees. My attachment to my body, wife, children, and home is continuing by the spell of external energy, but I wish to be attached to them no longer. Let my mind, my consciousness, and everything I have be attached only to you.
So undivided attachment, right? To Krishna. That doesn't mean we don't take care of our family or anything like that. Yeah. We help them also become Krishna conscious. Yeah. But un, yeah, Krishna's attachment like that. If you're married and you have family, take care of your family. But internally, everybody is in the cycle.
Tat sarveshu kaleshu. Doing your duties, you remember Krishna.
Remember Krishna. Correct. So that is why Varnashram means at some point you say only Krishna. Sannyas means like that, okay, only Krishna. And they're determined, right? You cannot, after you take sannyas, you cannot say, no, I want to go do that, I want to do this. No, you've made up your mind. You made up your mind. That's it. Now no more. So we have to make up our mind that, yeah, I have to go back home, back to Godhead, to serve Krishna, and just, this is my goal. And I will not let anything obstruct my goal. I will just go. As Ganga will flow, if there is a rock, it will flow over the rock, it will go on the side. Anyways, it will go towards the sea. So, in the same way. Here Prabhupada says like that in this verse. In executing penance, one must be determined to return home back to Godhead and must decide to undergo all types of tribulations for that. We say determination, discrimination, then determination, and then
First,
discrimination.
discrimination, discipline. Discrimination, determination, and discipline.
Discipline, yes. So determination. So discipline means consistency. It's like you do the same thing like you go to work every day. You log in at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock, whatever. It's like discipline, right? You have a meeting, you have stand up or whatever. So like that. It's a discipline. In our school, there was a lot of discipline. Every day homework, then next day homework again, new classes, and this class and that class. And 7 to 8 will be chemistry class, then there'll be recess, 15 minutes, and 9 o'clock, 8:40, 8:30, there'll be physics class and all this. So we learned so much because we were disciplined. So in executing penance, one must be determined. And Prabhupada gives the example of determination about the sparrow who lost her eggs and must deter. So even for material prosperity, name and fame, one has to undergo severe types of penance. Otherwise, no one can become an important figure in this material world. That's what I was referring to. Those who have worked very hard, like to amass money, you have to work very hard. Why then there are severe types of penance for perfection of devotional? An easygoing life and attainment of perfection in transcendental realization cannot go together. Means we have to work hard to change our consciousness basically and overcome the false ego. It's not so easy. So we are told to become humble, humbler than blade of grass, like that. It's not so easy. So to give all respect to others and expect no respect for oneself, all difficult things. This is a real spiritual life. Prabhupada writes in one purport, right? Unless one becomes very humble and meek, it is very difficult to. Because then you will have all the grudges and things like that. And that's why you will be always meditating on those grudges and things. And then you will not be able to practice spiritual life nicely. So we want to become peaceful, and anything that disturbs our peace and like our sadhana, we should not indulge in those things. So because at the end of the day, everybody has to fly their own plane. We are responsible. We have to go back home, back to God. And whatever grudge, sometimes people have grudges till their very fag end of life, and they will not see each other, they will not talk to each other. Even their brothers, right? Brothers and sisters, like that. Sometimes they are estranged, and that is good, maybe also in one way because there is no attachments like that on but those grudges can remain till the very fag end of life, all the grudges you have. So it is another kind of opposite of attachment is grudges, raga, dvesha. So that also is we don't want to have any kind of grudges against anybody. Okay. Because we may be thinking about that person also at the time of leaving the body. So when you have strong grudge then. Like Kans had a strong grudge against Krishna. So he was always thinking about Krishna, how to kill him. But it was Krishna, so he got liberated. But yeah.
So that's the concept of forgiveness, right?
Ah,
We have a grudge because we think the other person has done something wrong to us. But in fact, they are just the instrument of our own karma. And we should take this as an opportunity to become frustrated. Like yesterday, Prabhu was saying, right? So there is exploration, then we come to the point of exploitation, and then we can't be the supreme enjoyer. We're trying to imitate Krishna, and then we receive frustration. Means maybe we are not able to control people, or we have expectations from them and they don't meet, and we have a grudge. So we should become frustrated, not from that person but from material world.
Krishna
That will,
also, yeah, in that Tatenukampam Sutta, Krishna wants to remove the last vestiges of our attachment, right? So, not maybe last, we may have many, many, many. So, with every experience, Krishna is saying that no, no, you cannot become. So, it is good if you become detached. So, then if you become detached, then you are like
yeah,
ready to go back to spiritual world.
yeah, right. Attachment to a person is worse. So if we are becoming detached because of something that they did is wonderful. So yeah, thanking Krishna.
Yeah, sometimes you feel like you should just go and stay like, I mean, that's why they say when somebody dies without the knowledge of anybody else, like alone in some holy place, then it's a glorious death. So that's why all these things you're not thinking about at the time of death, and you're just leaving your body. And they will, those who are attached to you, they will also leave their body in due course. So in some, if they're younger, your children, they will also leave in some time. Everybody's turn is going to come, and so nothing is going to remain ultimately, as you know. So all the grudges and all these things and all this is going to vanish with time. So as soon as you're out of the body, but because we want prestige, and that's why all these things, you know. But as soon as you leave the body, it's all finished. You don't remember nothing like that.
Hmm.
So one should not run after this. Right? That's it's the
Stool of the pig.
yeah, correct.
Yeah, so if we are humble, like Krishnadas Kaviraj is saying, I am the worm in the stool. I'm actually insignificant. Whatever abilities I have, Krishna only has given me, and He can take it away. So, what am I proud of?
Yeah.
That I'm expecting this honor and prestige from others.
Rather, I should be grateful for what Krishna has given me to. I mean, to live every day. Right? He has given me food. I don't have to struggle to get food. He has given me some place to live, nice home to stay where I can do my, and we should be very satisfied with that.
Yeah, and yeah, if we do our services unconditionally, hetuki pratyata, then we might be feeling so much satisfaction with our service to Krishna that we are not seeking that from others to tell us our praise, honor, or whatever. So we should purity is what we try to become a pure devotee, and then we'll be happy in whatever situation we are. We are in anxiety or troubled because we are not there yet.
Because of unfulfilled material desires, also there is anxiety. I wanted this, I didn't get it, and like if I would have got this, then it would have been nice. If life would have gone like that, that's lamentation. And then kangshati means okay, I want that, I want this, like that. So all this desires basically. And we think that by getting all these things, if I get a new this thing, house or this, then I'll enjoy. But
Hmm.
after you get, you feel like, yeah, it's not really enjoyment. So,
Yeah. Abrahma Bhuvana Loka Punara. From the highest planet down to the lowest, all are places of misery. There is no perfect situation in this material world for anyone, even for the richest man on earth. So, what to speak of me? I cannot be happy in this material world.
but yeah, so the more you are convinced, that's that means you are on the track back to God. And if you're not convinced from fully, then through experience you learn, and then slowly, 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 gradually, through many lifetimes. Bahunam janmanamante jnanavan mam prapadyate vasudeva sarvamiti samatma. Slowly you become.
Yeah, if we are intelligent, we learn in one lifetime. If not,
Like Prabhupada would say, Arjuna got it like fast. Like of course, he was put into bewilderment, but he was they were speaking Bhagavad Gita fast, 700 verses in 90 minutes or whatever, and everything he got it, and he said, Karishya vachanam tava. And so basically, what that means in our life is that we have to mold our life according to Krishna's direction and Srila Prabhupada's instructions, and then it's like, yeah, then there is success if you follow the guidance of Srila Prabhupada. Okay, so we'll stop here with Bhagavatam. I already did that. We were reading Krishna Mukh yesterday, so we'll continue with that. So the question was asked that why the devotee of Vishnu are very poor sometimes, and Vishnu is living in opulence, and Lord Shiva is living in poverty, but his devotees are very opulent. So, so answer is that is here. So we can read from here, 3 paragraphs. Anybody wants to read?
yeah. So the answer to this is Yasyaham Anugranami, right? That verse. It may be questioned why a devotee is put into such tribulation by the personality of Godhead. The answer is that this kind of arrangement by the Lord is just like a father sometimes becoming unkind to his sons. Because the devotee is a surrendered soul and is taken charge of by the Supreme Lord, whatever condition of life the Lord puts him in, whatever one, whether one of distress or happiness, it is to be understood that behind this arrangement is a large plan designed by the personality of Godhead. For example, Lord Krishna put the Pandavas into a distressed condition so acute that even grandfather Bhishma could not comprehend how such distress could occur. He lamented that although the whole of Pandava's family was headed by King Yudhishthir, the most pious king, and protected by the two great warriors Bhima and Arjun, and although above all the Pandavas were all intimate friends and relatives of Lord Krishna, they still had to undergo such tribulations. Later, however, it was proved that this was planned by the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna as part of his great mission to annihilate the miscreants and protect the devotees. Another question may be raised: what is the difference between a devotee and a common man, since both are put into different kinds of happy and distressful conditions? The devotee by the arrangement of the personality of Godhead, and the common man as a result of his past deeds. How is the devotee any better than the ordinary karmi? The answer is that the karmis and the devotees are not on the same level. In whatever condition of life the karmi may be, he continues in the cycle of birth and death because the seed of karma or fruitive activity is there and it fructifies whenever there is an opportunity. By the law of karma, a common man is perpetually entangled in repeated birth and death, whereas a devotee's distress and happiness, not being under the law of karma, are part of a temporary arrangement by the Supreme Lord, which does not entangle the devotee. Such an arrangement is made by the Lord only to serve a temporary purpose. If a karmi performs auspicious acts, he is elevated to the heavenly planets, and if he acts impiously, he is put into the hellish condition. But whether a devotee acts in a so-called pious or impious manner, he is neither elevated nor degraded, but is transferred to the spiritual kingdom. Therefore, a devotee's happiness and distress and a karmi's happiness and distress are not on the same level. This fact is corroborated by the speech by Yamaraj to his servants in a connection with the liberation of Ajamil. Yamaraj advised his followers that they should approach only those persons who have never uttered the holy name of Lord or remembered the form, qualities, and pastimes of the Lord. Yamaraj also advised his servants never to approach the devotees. On the contrary, he instructed his messengers that if they meet a devotee, they should offer their respectful obeisances. So there is no question of a devotees being promoted or degraded within this material world, as there is a gulf of difference between the punishment awarded by the mother and the punishment awarded by an enemy. So a devotee's distress is not the same as the distress of a common karmi. Here another question may be raised. If the Supreme Lord is all-powerful, why should he try to reform his devotee by putting him in distress? The answer is that when the Supreme Personality of Godhead puts his devotee in distress, it is not without purpose. Sometimes the purpose is that in distress a devotee's feelings of attachment to Krishna are magnified. For example, when Krishna before leaving the capital of Pandavas for his home, asked Kunti Devi for permission to leave, she said, "My dear Krishna, in our distress, you were always present with us. Now, because we have been elevated to a royal position, you are leaving us. I would therefore prefer to live in distress than to lose you." When a devotee is put into a situation of distress, his devotional activities are accelerated. Therefore, to show special favor to a devotee, the Lord sometimes puts him into distress. Besides that, it is stated that the sweetness of happiness is sweeter to those who have tasted bitterness. The Supreme Lord descends to this material world just to protect his devotee from distress. In other words, if the devotees were not in a distressed condition, the Lord would not have come down. As for his killing the demons or miscreants, this can be easily done by his various energies, just as many asuras are killed by his external energy, goddess Durga. Therefore, the Lord does not need to come down personally to kill such demons, but when his devotee is in distress, he must come. Lord Nrsingadev appeared not in order to kill Hiranyakashipu but to save Prahlad and to give him blessings. In other words, because Prahlad Maharaj was put into very great distress, the Lord appeared. Okay, if you can scroll up to the top. So, I mean, the Pandavas, they were pure devotees, still they had to go through distress. So, basically, this is saying that the distress of a devotee is not coming from their karmic reaction, because as the devotees chanting the holy name, and we say that one Hare Krishna mantra can destroy more sins than you can commit, right? So, this means holy name has destroyed all our karma. So why is the devotee still getting suffering? Is because that's Krishna's special mercy, in order to remove the last vestiges of the enjoying spirit from the devotee. Even the greatest of the devotees have experienced miseries in this material world. I mean, Pandavas are an example, and so many our acharyas, Bhakti Siddhanta, Prabhupada, and so many disciples of Prabhupada who are such pure devotees who have done so much for Krishna, still they have to go through suffering. Also, as a part, Krishna wants to show an example of how such pure devotees handle difficult situations so we can learn from them. And understand that how they might have difficulties, but still they're so joyful in Krishna consciousness that so it's showing that bhakti reduces suffering, and still the devotee can continue to serve Krishna even in the most difficult situation. So they show that pure devotees show that example to us. Also, it said that the punishment given by the mother is different from the punishment given by the enemy. So, if a child is diseased, the mother gives him a bitter medicine out of her kindness. So, um, so that's what Krishna is. He's giving us that medicine to cure us, because we are not. He wants to make us fully pure and fully frustrated from this material world, so that our only desire is to go back to Godhead. And Kunti Devi is saying that, yeah, if you give me distress, because if you give me all nice things, all happy things, then I'll forget you. And that's what generally happens. Um, so Krishna sometimes gives distress so that we keep on. Uh, it makes our attachment to Krishna magnified in difficult situation. So we keep remembering him because he wants us back home. And then it also says that sweetness of happiness is sweeter for those who have tasted bitterness. So unless, some other things were mentioned, like for a poor person, right, who has won $1 million, like if he loses, like that's why Krishna sometimes gives us ecstatic feelings and then he takes it away. So we are not consistently experiencing Krishna. He takes it away because he wants us to hanker for it again. Oh, wish I could get that experience again. So that our bhakti keeps increasing.
And also the Gunda analogy, right? Gunda, Krishna is sending all the Gundas.
Yeah, correct. Yes. Karma, I mean, difficulties is like that. Krishna is sending that so that we call out for him for help, then he comes and helps us, and we become so grateful to him that we give our heart to him. And all his arrangement, drama that he's enacting for us to start loving him.
So, Hare Krishna Mataji, so in case of distress, the example that you quoted, one remembers Krishna, Bhagwan, God, right? So now that remembrance is really for the rescue purpose, right? The purpose is just, I want a rescue from my current problem.
Mm.
And if that bhav remains always, then there is no real improvement, correct? Because then he always see Bhagwan as a solution provider.
Yeah, but he should understand, oh, Krishna saved me in my most difficult time. Now I'm very grateful to him. And he always remembers what Krishna has done. And then, in that way, he remains in that consciousness of always loving Krishna. And for So
So
yeah,
that change in thinking, like let's say one person goes through not just once, twice, thrice different difficulties in their life. Every time he call upon Krishna or say whichever God he or she believe on, and then he get a solution, and he get that okay, now things are working well, and again, so uh, so not just this calamities, but I think somewhere that association of devotees should come into his life, right? Then the actual transformation will begin, and not just the presence of the difficulties.
yeah, certainly. That difficulty has come for him to become more serious. Then that should lead him to the association of devotees. So he constantly remembers Krishna. It's like we say, दुख में सब सुमिरन करे सुख में करे ना कोई जो सुख में सुमिरन करे तो दुख काहे कोई. Next time, as he keeps remembering Krishna, he will not even feel any suffering or misery in his life, distress. He would not think that there is any distress happening in my life.
Yeah, also distress. Yes, you were saying. Yeah, it's a mental state, right? So,
Yeah, Avanti Brahman says that.
so by
These people
chanting,
are not the cause of my suffering, not my karma, not my body. It's only my mind which is the cause of my suffering.
so you can say that, yeah, that if you say that, okay, this is Krishna's mercy because he wants to make me detached, then it is no longer distress. It is, you are perceiving it as kindness of Krishna. So I think Bhaktivinoda Thakur says like that. The distress I go through in giving pleasure to you and your devotees is the greatest happiness, source of happiness for me. So
Is that Shuddha Bhakta? Hmm. Some other song.
yeah, so like Prabhupada was having like he was not trying. He suffered loss in business and everything, and he had to leave his home, and he came to Vrindavan. But in one way, it was distressful because his wife was not cooperating and whatever family. But another way, it turned into the greatest benediction for all of us. And like that. So, but what you are saying is that every time we have a problem and we go to Krishna, he's like our solution provider. He will relieve us from distress, like Gajendra and things like that. But in that, what will happen is our gratitude to the Lord will increase, and like as you were saying.
Yeah, and I think we become more frustrated like from this material world by getting miseries and like lose our desire to enjoy in this world basically.
So that way also, yeah.
Yeah, some people don't. They keep on going. They don't become frustrated.
And sometimes, actually, the thing that happens is that also our mind changes in devotional service. The mind changes, so what we would perceive as distress before would no longer be perceived as distress now. So that's what happens basically. So the conditions may be still the same, and your mind changes, so then you don't perceive it like as if it's a distressful situation. And even if you perceive and you pray to Krishna to relieve you of distress, that's also okay. I mean, that's not bad. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also says, please pick me up from this ocean of death and take me back to you. Like, so we say Krishna, Ainanda Tanuja Kinkaram. So I don't want, I'm suffering here in this material world.
So sometimes in distressful situation, actually our bhakti goes down. Sometimes, let's say we have a health condition
Yeah.
or trouble, and so that peaceful chanting is not possible, disturbance in the mind. But then, if we hanker for it, oh, wish I could perform service to Krishna like I was doing before, but because of this condition, I'm not able to do that.
Hmm.
That is also increasing our hankering for. So when the situation goes away, then we might say, oh, thank you. Now I have, that situation has passed. So now I should become serious. And because many devotees say that they went through a surgery or whatever, and they couldn't chant the holy name and during that time. So distress may decrease our bhakti for short time, but that should increase our hankering.
Yeah, and in such a situation, if someone is around, kind of remind us, as you said, that this distressful situation is really an opportunity for.
Correct. Yes.
So
Devotees should
that's where
remember.
the devotee play the role. That devotee
Mhm.
could be your family member, a friend, or someone from temple. So that reminder helps,
Yeah.
because sometimes one who is going through, and due to that, let's say, health condition, he's super focused on health. He
Mhm.
may little bit forget at that time, but
Mhm.
that's why devotee helps.
Yeah, and sometimes people are starting to lose faith also. Oh, I'm a devotee and I'm worshipping Krishna, but why did this thing happen to me? So then a devotee comes and explains why they're going through suffering and all. So they maintain their faith in Krishna, help them maintain their faith. Yeah.
Yeah, and every day that there is no calamity in our life, we should thank Krishna, right? I mean, and calamity, we should expect reversals at every moment in this material world. So every day I'm living, right? It's like a blessing, right? I'm getting up, and again, Krishna has given me another day to chant
Mm.
His holy name. So,
Yeah.
like that kind of thing
Yeah.
also. So,
So we should not become complacent. Oh, things are happening nicely. So we should be taking every day very seriously, doing our sadhana very seriously. As we said, more you sweat during peace, less you will bleed during war. In peaceful times, we should be more serious because actually, when there is war, we cannot practice there. It's the time to implement what we have learned during the peaceful time.
mm.
So the hardest time should be the peaceful time, more intense devotional service.
And Krishna, yeah, is giving that misery. I think did we read that to accelerate the devotional service, right? To of the devotee, so that they
Yeah,
could.
it said there
Uh,
magnified. So the devotee's feeling of attachment to Krishna magnified. Purpose. Sometimes the purpose is that in distress.
yeah, sometimes the purpose is that in distress. Yeah. So
Accelerated, it didn't mention the word that.
yeah, magnified is like accelerate means
Mm.
it is been more now that you take
Oh,
more.
it's mentioning when a devotee is put into situation of distress, his devotional activities are accelerated. See, that is difficult because in a difficult situation, you might not be able to do the devotional activities how you were able to do in a peaceful time. So, how is it accelerated?
No, like if you have notice of your death, right? Upcoming notice of your
Yeah,
death.
but you may be in a difficult health condition.
Ah,
Like
that is there.
maybe you are in coma or you are in unconscious or so much pain in your body that you cannot chant.
Yeah. Like in Gajendra, right? He was in distress, so kind of he
He
or
called out to Krishna
yeah,
for the cry.
Draupadi,
Yeah,
yeah, that
yeah. You might
cry.
not be able to chant 16 rounds, but even one Hare Krishna, one
Yeah,
time you say to Krishna, Krishna, please help me with that much
yeah,
helplessness.
yeah. So Parikshit Maharaj also, I mean, he was a devotee, is pure devotee, but that kind of, he just went to he left everything and just went to the bank of Ganges. It wasn't, he was going to die in 7 days. He had a notice of his death. So he just left everything and just absorbed himself completely, fully. So his devotional service in that we can say it was accelerated,
Mhm.
maybe like that.
Yeah, there can be so many situations. Somebody lost their job and now they have a very hard job and that's taking up their time. Then it's a distressful situation, but they cannot devote more time on bhakti.
Yeah, and some people may say, okay, now I will just live in the temple and I will just serve Krishna. In that situation, like some many. people join because they're in poor condition. They have nothing to eat. At least in the temple, I will get something to eat. I'll get shelter. Like brahmacharis will
But
get
what if
shelter.
they have a family to maintain?
Yeah, so somehow, then you have to work. But then in the work also, when you're working, when you are thinking, you can be like Krishna conscious in any situation, even if you are in difficult situation. Like you are thinking, you are hankering to serve Krishna, although you cannot serve Krishna, but you can.
Yeah, yeah, that's you. Yeah, that situation may increase your hankering for.
Like one devotee was saying that when I was living near the temple, I would not associate with devotees. But then Krishna gave me a job very far away. And there was no devotee association. Then I realized, the value of. So she was hankering more at that time. So sometimes when things are taken away, only when we realize the value. It doesn't have to be like that, but many times it happens. Like some person, we don't acknowledge their presence and everything until that person departs. Like then we are everybody's full of praise and they're saying, oh, this person did this, that. But while they are living, we don't acknowledge them very much. So Krishna can arrange situations like that where we are left with thinking, yeah, I could have done more, but that's also good feeling. But then when we have situation, then we should also capitalize on it and say, okay, now more we sweat during peace, less we bleed during war also. So that kind of thing you were saying. It's all about interest, I think. It's all about interest and the priority of realizing that we are in difficult situations, realizing the bigger picture, all these things. It's a question of realization. So talking is easy, but more you deeply you have imbibed this knowledge in your heart and you actually feel it is true. That's realization. Then you will be able to act on it and see, yes, this is what Shastra is saying is true. Right? And then you will say yes. And sometimes we want both, right? We want enjoyment in this world and we want like to be Krishna conscious. So many times people say, I really want to come to the temple, but I cannot find time because I have so many other activities to do. So I really want to, read Bhagavatam, I really want to do, but so then you have to like find time, you have to say, okay, this is my priority, I have to do this. I cannot do all these other things, XYZ, because it is interfering with this. So So that is the thing. Although the desire is there, but we cannot fulfill it. Like it happens to me also, right? I feel like I should get up every day at 2 o'clock and chant till 7 o'clock, something. Feel like that every day. But somehow or other, something in life is there. So, so then we have to say no. Determination. That's where determination comes. Whatever happens, I will just do it. So like that. At least we have desires, and we should make the desires very strong. So, like you chanted 64 rounds right on that day. So, just that you just sit down and chant. That's it. Nothing doing. You just say, decide. This is what I have to do. This is good for. And sometimes intellectually also we should think. I don't like it. Mind is not liking it, but this is good for me. So I will do it. So that's determination. So some have more determination, some have less determination. But when we associate with those who are determined, then we will become also more determined to see their example and see how they are not wasting any time and always serving Krishna. Then we become more determined in that association. Right?
And more he convinced that in my time of greatest need, Krishna will only be able to help me, nobody else.
That's correct.
So I want to give my priority to Krishna above anything else.
Correct. That's
especially the holy name.
yeah. Humility will means to feel that He's my only shelter. Of course, devotees are also our shelter in one way, but yes, they will come
Yeah.
and remind
Yeah, I
us.
mean, devotees mean spend, yeah, whatever, whether we in the association devotees means that we are doing devotional service and for Krishna. So, versus doing other activities that are not related to Krishna.
Yeah, but sometimes our expectations, even from devotees, may not live up to the thing. So that is also another. Yes. So many things are there, right? So we have some expectations. These expectations may not be fulfilled, or but yeah, when we need help, and some devotee we think should help us, we don't get help, then also feel a little bit hurt, right?
Yeah, I think we should not have such expectations because all everybody is bound by their own karma and their own limitations, and only Krishna can help us, and He may send a devotee who is capable to help us.
Okay, so it's 8:45. Mataji is at my home, so I have to stop here for today. We bookmark the thing. Till where did you read? Here, Prahlad Maharaj. Read to Prahlad Maharaj.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe we can read three paragraphs and then stop. It's 8:45. Yeah. Okay. We can read the next three paragraphs. When, after the dense dark night, there is finally sunrise in the morning, it is very pleasant. When there is scorching heat, cold water is very pleasant. And when there is freezing winter, hot water is very pleasant. Similarly, when a devotee, after experiencing the distress of the material world, relishes the spiritual happiness awarded by the Lord, his position is still more pleasant and enjoyable. So, out of you are in danger and you pray to Krishna and you get out of danger and you just feel very happy. Right? It's the same concept that like one man is dunked in the water and then is pulled out, he feels happy. So, but here because Krishna is helping, we pray to Krishna like that. So the Lord continued, when my devotee is bereft of all material riches and is deserted by his relatives, friends, and family members, because he has no one to look after him, he completely takes shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. Srila Narottam Das Thakur has sung in this connection, my dear Lord Krishna, O son of Nanda Maharaj, you are now standing before me with Srimati Radharani, the daughter of King Vrishabhanu. I am now surrendering unto you. Please accept me. Please do not kick me away. I have no shelter other than you. I think that is this song. What is that song? Ranga Pai. Which song is that?
Is it Hari Hari Bifle?
Ah, yeah.
Yeah, Hari. Ha ha Prabhu Nanda Sutta Vrishabhanu Sutta Juta Karo Karuna Karo Ibaro Narottama Dasa Koi Na Theli Huranga Pae Toma Bin Ke Ache Amaro.
Yes. Please do not kick me away. When a devotee is thus put into so called miserable conditions and bereft of riches and family, he tries to revive his original position of material opulence. But although he tries again and again, Krishna again and again takes away all his resources. And he tries, but he fails repeatedly. Thus, he finally becomes disappointed in material activities, and in that stage of frustration in all endeavors, he can fully surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such persons are advised by the Lord from within to associate with the devotees. By associating with devotees, they naturally become inclined to render service to the personality of Godhead. And they immediately get all facilities from the Lord to advance in Krishna consciousness. The non devotees, however, are very careful about preserving their material condition of life. Generally, therefore, such non devotees do not come to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but worship Lord Shiva or other demigods for immediate material profit. In Bhagavad Gita, it is said, therefore, Kangshata karmanam siddhim yajanti hi devata. Jajanti Iha Devata. The karmis, in order to achieve success within this material world, worship the various demigods. It is also stated by Lord Krishna that those who worship the demigods are not mature in their intelligence. Devotees of Supreme Personality of Godhead, therefore, because of their strong attachment for Him, do not foolishly go to the demigods. Okay, so this is. So when we go back to spiritual world, as Prabhupada told Indradumna Maharaj, one time what happened, that Prabhupada's, I think he was traveling somewhere in Europe, and Prabhupada's bag did not come. And bag did not come, so some devotees had to stay behind to get Prabhupada's bag while Prabhupada went to the temple. Right? And then what happened? In the temple, it was a Sunday feast. So I'll read this pastime, Prabhupada. A little bit. I was excited as we landed in London because I had heard how Malti, Shyamsundar, Mukunda, Janaki, Kurudas, Yamuna, and all other devotees there had done a lot of service and built a new center. And I had heard how the Beatles had taken an interest in Krishna consciousness. Srila Prabhupada's receptions were always special, but I was expecting that this would be an extra special, big reception. So he was thinking, he was traveling with Prabhupada, and he was thinking, this is going to be a very wonderful thing because a lot of things have been achieved in London. We have a center. Beatles have donated a center. After we landed, Prabhupada chanted his Japa while we collected his while we collected the luggage. But an important bag, the bag with commentaries by the acharyas that Prabhupada used for his writing, didn't arrive. We waited and waited. We could hear a big kirtan in the reception hall, but there was no bag. So many devotees had come. Shyam Sundar was upset. He said, someone has to wait here for the bag. I tried to hide behind a pillar. Shyam Sundar said, Prabhupada, Indradumna can stay and bring the bag to the temple. Prabhupada said, yes, it is very important. Oh no, I'm going to miss the reception. Prabhupada walked out the door. Why did they lose the bag? I waited by the ticket counter for about an hour. Did I get disconnected? Okay. Am I connected? Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay. I waited by the ticket counter for about an hour and a half, and finally they found the bag and brought it to me. It was a huge, heavy suitcase packed full of. So it was all the commentaries of different acharyas that Prabhupada used in writing his purports. I could hardly lift it. I put it on a trolley and went outside. It was raining and cold. London weather, you know. There were no devotees around, and I was miserable that I had missed the reception. I hailed a taxi, put the bag in, and got in. The taxi driver said, where do you want to go? I said, 7 Bury Place. He looked back and said, are you all right, son? I said, no. He said, anything I can do to help you? I replied, no. I missed the reception of my spiritual master. He said, you're what? I said, I have a spiritual master. I am a devotee in the Hare Krishna movement. Oh, he said, the people who sing on Oxford Street. Well, sorry about that. Anyway, there's always a better day. It was even raining harder when we got to the temple. I paid the driver, walked up the stairs, and with that big bag knocked on the door. And some devotee with a blissful face answered, oh, Hare Krishna, who are you? I replied, I am Indradumna Das. I came on the flight with Srila Prabhupada and I had to wait behind for his bag. The devotee said, come in. Of course, this is also service to Srila Prabhupada, even though he was not with Srila Prabhupada, but this is important, Prabhupada wanted it. I came in, put the bag down and thought, well, God, at least I'll get some of the prasadam feast. The devotees were sitting around with paper plates that were empty except for yellow turmeric stains and a few finger marks in the ghee. I said, Prabhu, is there any prasadam? One devotee said, oh, Prabhu, you missed the prasadam. They should have kept one plate for it. You should have come a couple hours earlier. And you missed the reception. The reception of Prabhupada was so ecstatic. Prabhupada spoke so nicely, and we had a big kirtan. I said, "Oh, please, there's no prasadam? Not even a pakora?" Nope. Okay, well, Prabhupada's upstairs. Yeah, he has a room upstairs. Can you help me carry this bag upstairs? I am so full, I can't help. So, please, not difficult. So I did it myself. I was starting to get angry at that bag. Later, I understood that bag was the source of all good fortune for me. The steps were steep in Bari Place temple. I took that bag up, boom, 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 boom. Prabhupada's room was on the second floor, and I was hungry, exhausted, hadn't showered. I saw a door with a sign, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, and I thought Prabhupada's there. I didn't knock. I didn't think of etiquette. I was excited to see Prabhupada again, and I was a little confused. So he didn't knock the door, he just went in. I opened the door, turned around, and started dragging Prabhupada's suitcase in backwards. When all of a sudden, Nanda Kumar, so he was behind on his back, not knowing who is behind him. Srila Prabhupada's servant in London. He said, "Hey, watch out, you're going to bump into Srila Prabhupada." So Prabhupada was standing right behind him. He was dragging the bag. I dropped the bag, turned around, and Prabhupada was standing close to me. He said, "Hare Krishna." I said, "Oh, Srila Prabhupada," and I fell down to offer my obeisance. Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti. All of a sudden, there was a slap on my back. I thought Prabhupada slapped me on the back, but I couldn't figure out if it was out of love or anger. Of course, either would be a blessing. I can still feel Prabhupada's blessing right there on my back. I continued, "Namaste, sir," and Prabhupada said something softly. I couldn't hear him. I was near Prabhupada's feet, and a few moments his feet walked to another room. I caught up, and Prabhupada wasn't there. Nand Kumar's mouth was open. I said, "Prabhu, what happened?" He said, "Prabhupada slapped you on the back." I said, "Yeah, I know. Really hard." And what did he say? Nanda Kumar smiled and said, "Oh, it was so nice." Prabhupada said, "So much endeavor in this material world, but when I take you back home, back to Godhead, everything will be easy and sublime." So, right after going through all this, in the paragraph that we were reading, when we go back to the spiritual world, we receive so many instructions from Srila Prabhupada's books, but if a disciple gets a personal blessing from the spiritual master, he treasures that, keeps in his heart forever. Over the years, when there was an opposition as the Krishna consciousness movement spread, and when there were daily difficulties in going out on Sankirtan, too cold, too hot, too tired, and then I remembered Prabhupada's words, "So much endeavor in this material world, but when I take you back home, back to Godhead, everything will be easy and sublime. When difficult days come, those words also come to me. Let us struggle to serve Srila Prabhupada, to push on the Sankirtan movement in this world. Because in the end, Prabhupada is going to take us all back home, back to Godhead. And when we go back to the spiritual world, everything is going to be easy and sublime." So, like in this purport, it is saying like that, right? That after the dense, dark night, then everything or after experiencing the distress of the material world, relishes the spiritual happiness, then he feels very happy. Okay, so Narottam Das Thakur is pleading, he is requesting, he is begging the Lord, "Please accept me, please accept me." That is also the mood in which we chant Hare Krishna. "Krishna, please accept me, please accept me. Don't kick me away. Don't kick me away. I have no, where will I go if you don't accept me? You are my only shelter, right? Yeah, Krishna, please accept me. I have left you, but you now please accept me again." So like that. Okay, so this is so repeated frustration. Actually, we are going through repeated frustration. We forgot it because every time we died, it was frustration. Another time we died. Millions of times we have died in this material world, but we don't remember. So that's why every life appears like fresh. But we have died so many times, and frustration has. If you think like that from Shastric point of view, so much frustration we have been through, and so much pain and so repeated frustration, and then finally We should by this time now we should be completely disappointed in material activities. But because we don't remember, that's why it seems like, yeah. So after repeated endeavors to enjoy, if it results in frustration, then one takes to Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada did like that. He said, everything Krishna took away from me. Okay, so it was a special mercy. Okay, so any verses? Sorry, I didn't have time. Anything you want to recite? Any verses?
I will recite tomorrow.
Tomorrow, okay. Sorry, we can put some time every day. I have to also memorize some verse. Okay, so we'll see you. Hare Krishna. Thank you everyone for joining.